Hey everybody, welcome to Live at Epiphan. It's Thursday afternoon. Thanks for being with us today. We've got a great topic for you, but first I want to introduce our newest host on the show, Ryan Haynes. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Ryan's on our customer support team, and we thought he'd be a great co-host for today's episode because Ryan, you've got some experience with music. You compose music or you sold some music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I've composed music over just probably over about a decade now, and I've been fortunate enough to work with some artists in my past and help them and myself get in touch with publishers and help them get their music licensed in from different fashion shows to TV. And I've been also fortunate enough to have my own music in National Geographic and Fox, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, perfect co-host for the topic today. We've got a really great guest. Want to introduce him first. We've got Ben Short. Ben Short from Warner Chappell Production Music, and he's done some really cool stuff. He's closed some premier music deals with organizations like ESPN and BuzzFeed, HBO, Showtime, Vice, you name it. He's used his production music experience to help secure music for several of the largest advertising agencies in North America. Music campaigns for Lincoln, Pepsi, Facebook, Dunkin' Donuts, Castrol, Visa, IBM. He also licensed music for several films, shows like Upload, Dark Waters, Queen of the South, Younger in the Dirt. Just a wealth of experience when it comes to putting great music into your productions. So without any further ado, let's bring in our guest, Ben Short.
Hello, thank you for having me. Coming from Music City down in Nashville, Tennessee today. Enjoying the nice weather out here.
And what an appropriate place that you live. How's Nashville these days?
It's, we can't go see live music, which is weird in Nashville, but hopefully that'll come back sooner rather than later. But otherwise, it's good. It's a nice 70-degree day out here, and I'm really excited to be a part of this.
So Ben, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do at Warner Chappell Production Music? What's a day in the life of Ben in the music licensing world?
For sure. So I am the director of licensing for Warner Chappell Production Music. My job essentially is to put our music in as many things as possible. All kinds of media, whether it's corporate, industrial, conventions, TV commercials, network shows, anything from digital media and movies. As I say, pretty much anything that needs music, that's who I'm interfacing with. And generally going forward now, mostly on the advertising side. So my day generally consists of checking my emails, looking if there's anyone that's come through, responding to them, reaching out to clients to gauge if they have any music needs for any upcoming projects. People will hit me up with briefs or what we call searches. That'll just be a description of what they're looking for musically wise, what the project is, and then me and my team will go and put together playlists and send them off to the clients. And then from there, they take a listen to it, and if it works for them and it works for their client, then they talk to us about licensing the track or tracks for that project. And then we start talking about negotiating terms, what kind of clearances they need, whether it be broadcast or online only, whether it's a live broadcast. So every job is different. That's what kind of makes this job exciting, because it's not every day is the same.
That's great. So Ben, what does Warner Chappell Production Music do in the broadest sense? What kind of services do you provide?
Right. So, I mean, at the heart, we're a publishing company, just like our parent company. The breakdown is, Warner Music Group is a legendary record company with brands like Atlantic, Elektra, Warner Music Records. It used to be called Warner Brothers Records. And then we have Warner Chappell, which is one of the premier publishing companies in the world. They own the copyrights for your Led Zeppelins and your Justin Timberlakes and Beyoncés of the world. But our job pretty much is to serve the song. Without these amazing musicians, I wouldn't be able to do my job. So I really count on them, and I really try and create opportunities for them because we appreciate the creative art form and believe that songwriters and composers should be properly compensated for their works. Aside from making money for our company, we're trying to make as much money for the amazing musicians that we work with on a daily basis.
And something that's more important than ever right now with, touring artists maybe looking for other revenue streams. Great opportunity to perhaps generate some side business off of, music you've already been using.
Absolutely. And I've been hit up by touring musicians who are like, obviously this year's, out the door. But I'd like to maybe start focusing on some other ways to generate some revenue. I've heard that production music or sync, doing sync, can help me, pay the rent, or, keep the lights on or feed my family, so it's a pretty incredible opportunity, and one that during this COVID time has still been pretty steady. There was a bit of a lull, sort of at the beginning in March and April, but for the most part, people still need music and people still consume content, probably even more than ever. So there's a lot of good opportunities for musicians to diversify their portfolio, as it would be, by getting into this world.
Yeah, fantastic. And question for you, very relevant topic for our audience. And, our audience typically very interested in live production and live streaming and live broadcasts. So how's it different from music content for recorded productions? Maybe you can kind of explain some of the differentiation there.
Right, for sure. And, I indirectly work with live broadcasts and live streaming. They both are certainly in the same family. For example, I could do an all-encompassing deal with a network or even a sports team, and part of the clearances that I was talking about earlier, they would want live broadcast or live performances. So just in our paperwork, whenever we sign everything and legal looks over everything, we can make sure that the language is specifically stated that they can use our music in live broadcast and live performances. Most every, and I see you bring the PROs up, and most every venue in America and North America has a performance rights license, a performance license through the PROs. And the PROs in America are BMI, CSAC, and ASCAP, and in Canada, it's SOCAN. So this would allow a team to play music in a stadium or in a venue, or like concerts to be held. But once you start playing music as part of the broadcast, and you're syncing it to a footage or a video, then that's when you would need a synchronization license. So that's an additional license. So generally a client of mine will tell me the types, like I said, of media clearances that they need. And then we get the project in their hands, and we're not going to penalize them. They're not going to get penalized for any live broadcast or anything, because the paperwork has been signed, and we're pretty much all good to go. All the I's and from Wayne's World 2, the lowercase J's have been dotted.
So,
Awesome.
yeah. So Ben, you mentioned performing rights organizations. Maybe you could explain a little more, what those are, and how Warner Chappell production music, differs from those.
Right. So like I said, Warner Chappell Production Music is a publishing company within Warner Chappell, focusing on production music, or as people used to call it, stock music. After your death, you can still be making royalties for your family and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So they're very important in terms of making more money.
For sure. So if I wanted to play a piece of music I didn't have the rights to in a video, is there some agency that checks that? Is there something I have to worry about in that sense?
Yeah, if you play something without getting a proper license, you could definitely get in trouble if you get found. Most of the time now with technology, it's more than likely that we'll find out if something gets played without a proper license. We have companies that we work with like AdRev and TuneSat and BMAT, and those companies keep track of our music through metadata that is ingested into their sites. So, for example, on AdRev, if someone is to upload a YouTube video and uses our music, without properly licensing it, that's whenever you'll see a claim be put on the video, and the video won't be able to go live because of um, not having the correct licensing in place. Um, Typically, whenever we do work with a company, whether it be a needle drop, which is just a one-off basis, or a blanket, which is almost like a subscription, we report those channels to AdRev, our partners, especially on YouTube, and they whitelist the channel. So therefore, they can upload. They know that they're a client of ours, and they've done the licensing correctly. Um, in terms of a one-off usage with AdRev, we can provide a content key that you upload or you put in place at the very when you're about to upload your video. So AdRev and YouTube will recognize that key. They'll know that this song has been properly licensed, and they will not put a claim on it. With TuneSat and BMAT, those are more for broadcast uses. So you can literally go through and it'll say what song is being used. It'll tell you what commercial or what TV show, how long it's being used. So to answer your question, if you don't license something properly, we more than likely will be able to find it. And then that's not a good day for anybody, because
Right.
you could get in trouble. You could end up paying more than what a initial license might even cost. So you definitely want to make sure everything is in order before you start playing content with music involved in it, for sure.
For sure.
And that's a question that comes our way a lot is, a lot of folks want to be able to do things the right way, and they want to be, using the power of the content delivery networks like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and they want to have great music in their production. So it's nice to know that there's a proper channel to do that and that you can help people accomplish that.
For sure. And with those, live or with like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and not so much with Twitch yet, but it will definitely happen. They always generally now have deals with the record labels and the publishers. So you don't run into this problem with a live stream, or maybe you're covering a song. I know that we talked about churches doing live streams and stuff like that. They're trying to make sure that people are able to, use music and not have to, especially just amateur people like your mom and dad putting up singing a song with a guitar on Facebook and not getting penalized or getting a claim put on it. So it's a slow, steady process with copyright stuff. So it's definitely in the works, and it's being implemented right now. So we should be seeing those problems alleviated in the future for sure. Twitch, since it's such a new platform, people sort of gravitated towards it during COVID. They're still trying to get everything worked out there, so that might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, we heard some news recently of Twitch, needing to kind of, resolve their platform's workflow issues around proper music usage. So I know that that's something that they've been talking about a lot. A question for you. This comes up from time to time, and it's what happens when there's sort of like incidental music. So, for example, I'm live streaming a sporting event at my local school, or I'm doing some sort of production where there happens to be some background music in the environment that gets picked up. How is that defined, and what kind of workarounds are there for that type of scenario?
Of course, yeah, that's what they call an ephemeral use. I always butcher the pronunciation of that word, but that's what it is. It's an ephemeral use, almost like Epiphan, ephemeral, sort of close. Yeah, so I mean, you're watching TV, you see a broadcast going on, you're watching, a football game or a basketball game, and you hear like "We Will Rock You" playing in the background. That's not being synced to the actual broadcast. That's in the arena or in the auditorium. That's what, like incidental. It's not meant to. You can't really control that because it's playing over loudspeakers in a stadium. So typically, that's not something that you really need to worry about, as the arenas, auditoriums, any public place should have a public performance license through the PROs.
Good to know.
So going off of getting a license to sync your music with with any kind of video, is there any places that we can go to find license or royalty free music?
Yeah, it's royalty free. Not my favorite term. It's sort of a misleading term. People think that when they use music or if they're licensing music that they have to pay royalties, and that's just not how it works. Networks pay royalties. If you're playing something online, you're not paying a royalty. It's YouTube or Facebook that's going to pay a royalty from all the ads that they've generated, from the money from the ads that they've generated. So you don't have to worry about royalty free. Royalty free is not a real thing, really. Like, we're Warner Chappell Production Music, one of the biggest publishers and production music companies in the world, and we're royalty free. So you can use us. Don't let the name scare you. Also, with royalty free stuff, there's some reputable companies out there, but there are some, and I don't want to dog on anybody or anything like that. Sometimes music gets recycled. Sometimes in these sites, someone could use a drum sample that you wouldn't even pick up on. Like what happened with the one kid with the country, what was a Nine Inch Nails drum sample? They had to go back and give credit to Trent Reznor. So you're never 100% sure unless you're working with a very reputable company, like us. I got to plug us, since I'm here. We have everything. Everything is good to go with us. We do all the background work. We make sure there's no samples. We make sure the music's completely original, and that you will never, ever, ever get any kind of copyright issue, anyone trying to sue you. That's why it's better to work with a more established company to help do that work for you, so you don't get in trouble.
That's great advice. Here's a question we got coming in on the YouTube chat. This is from Tim Trott Productions. He's wondering, is there a minimum length where a track is immune, like 5 seconds or 10 seconds?
I'm not 100% on that. I mean, I think we've all seen on like a late night show someone play like a snippet of a song and joke like, oh, we can't play any more than 4 seconds or else we're gonna have to pay out big money for that. So I'm a bit unclear on if that's true or not, but I'm sure just using the old Google machine will give you an answer for that question.
Awesome. Question. Okay, so let's say I have I contact you, Ben, and I say, hey, like I've got a production coming up. We want some great music. How do we get started? What's the way to find great music? How do you work with someone like yourself? What kind of information do I need to provide you with to get started on selecting some production music and getting it into my show?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of it starts with a simple email, just with those questions that you just posed. We get hit up with emails and phone calls, and we just jump on and say, hey, what type of project are you working on? What's the musical feel? What type of tracks are you looking for? Once they sort of.
And sorry to interrupt you, Ben. I think we just have a little bit of a technical hiccup.
Okay.
We should be back in just a minute, but for everybody still watching, just to kind of give a preface, I've had the pleasure of working with Ben a few times, and he's helped me source the music. So I think there was one instance where I said, hey, we want something that feels like old school gangster, synth music. And within, I think, hours, you came back to me, Ben, and you had probably 20 or 30 options for me to listen to exactly with the type of instrumentation that I was looking for. So is that like a common way that you would work with people on a production?
Absolutely. We have a creative services team in place at Warner Chappell Production Music, and we create playlists for clients all day long. It's it's if we're not creating playlists for clients, then we're not doing our job correctly, because who knows the library better than we do? One of my partners has been with the company for 13 or 14 years. He knows the library. I mean, he'll tell me track file names. I'm like, how do you know that? And he's like, clearly I've been working here for too long. So we definitely like to have people rely on us, because we know where the dead bodies are. We know where the goods are. So And we also release a ton of music every month.
So you
During
must get a
COVID,
sense of what's trending and, what is, even times when maybe something is over popular and you want to avoid sounding like everyone else, you could probably give some advice on that as well.
yeah, for sure. The whole role of production music is to have as much music for you, quality music, as possible. That's why we release so much music every month. And typically before COVID happened, we'd be in our studios. We have amazing studios in Nashville that we just moved into, and we're about to open one up in Los Angeles. But then COVID happened. But we would create a lot of our music in our studios. But with the technology as it is, when everything has to shut down, musicians are great at creating music in their homes. The home studios are so amazing now that you can rival a big time studio. So that's how we're still able to create this music and put out as much music as we have. So we haven't slowed down at all, which has been great.
Perfect. So, Ben, there is one question that I'm just kind of seeing on the YouTube comments here, and I know it's a vague question, as it's far-reaching, but for fair use, there's things that for education, commentary, parody. Would you be able to expand on that a bit if possible? I know it can be kind of a
It's
murky
tough.
subject. Yeah.
It's tough. Like I still think I don't want to touch that. I don't want to give out any bad information. I don't want to say, I'm sure SNL is considered fair use and parody, but they're still licensing music to be in the program. But I'm not sure with like educational stuff. We do work with educational companies and schools and stuff like that, and they are most definitely licensing music from us. So it may not be the biggest dollar amount. It may not be a Super Bowl commercial, but we always work with people's budgets because every budget's created differently. And that's one nice thing with working with us is don't worry about budgets. We're going to work with you. We're like I said, not everything's created equal, and ESPN can pay a lot more money than an independent production company. So we recognize that, and we're not going to tell you no unless you ask for free. Then I have to say no.
Right. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for talking.
And I've experienced that working with you in the past as well, Ben, is, I've come to you sometimes with a larger budget for like something that's going to be seen nationally or in a certain territory. And then other times I'm like, hey man, this is like an internal project. We've got $100. Can we do something? And, you usually find a way to satisfy that. We do have some more questions coming in on YouTube chat. So maybe we can get to a few of those. We have a question here from Tim. He's wondering what happens when an artist licenses a track to different outlets. Is there some conflict there? Like, how does that work? Is it usually an artist is, working with one partner, or, in your experience, how does that play out?
If it's like a mainstream artist, they're generally going to be signed to a publishing deal. It depends on who the publisher is. You can have a song. You can have a song on different things on a TV show and on a commercial at the same time. Sometimes you'll get into avenues of exclusivity where they don't want they don't want the song played anywhere else. It only can be part of this like State Farm ad or something like that. And so you'll give them you'll guarantee them that the song will not get used for anything else during that period. And we've had that happen in our production music library as well, where a song gets licensed exclusively, and then we pull that song out of the library for the term, which is usually like 6 months to a year. So we pull it out, and that ensures us that no one else is going to be able to use the song, and so we can cover that and guarantee that exclusivity part of the contract.
Cool. Couple more questions here. 10X Media Group is wondering, he wants to set up live streaming services for music venues so that they can broadcast their artist performances. Hey, that's a cool idea. He's wondering what kind of music licensing is required and who pays the licensing fees. So I guess the use case is, maybe you're a venue that isn't having live performances right now, but you want to be able to broadcast performances, from your venue. What kind of license might be required for that sort of scenario?
So yeah, that's definitely becoming more of a thing, especially obviously because of the times that we're in. You'll see like a big venue do a live stream on their Facebook channel or their YouTube channel. Um, they still have to have the performance license through the PROs, and then I would imagine that most of these venues are working with Facebook and YouTube to make sure that they're covered and dealing with the. Usually, if the artist is playing, they're going to be okay with their songs being played on Facebook and whatnot. It really that's sort of a different area than where I live in. So once again, I don't want to speak any bad misinformation about it, but I would imagine you have the performance rights through the PROs, and then there may be some additional stuff that you might have to get. But you would definitely want to. You don't want to just go live. You'd want to do some background check on that.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Are there any license types that are commonly overlooked? That's a question coming from Campa Media Group.
Um, I guess are they talking more about like clearances and stuff like that? There are some that can be overlooked, like say someone wants a TV commercial, but they didn't specify radio is going to be part of that as well. We always want to be as upfront and as clear as where the content is going to live, so we can take care of it before it even becomes a problem.
Another question from Tim Trott. He's mentioning that AdRev tags him for tracks he does have a license for. So what should he do in that scenario?
He should go to the company he has gotten the music from, and it's honestly, whenever we do have this happen, I take this on my own and I reach out to AdRev with my director of operations, our senior director of operations, and we tell them, hey, these people are good to go, and then AdRev is usually very quick and will release the claim for us. So I would definitely go back to the music company that you licensed that music from and ask them about that.
Thanks, Ben. Just a kind of more of a broader question. Are there any other aspects of live streaming you think that should be addressed? Anything that the viewers should know?
I think just the biggest thing is to really be as clear and concise before you get to the point of pressing the live button. You need to make sure that you're covered. I'm sure there have been people on here that have pressed live and then immediately gotten taken down because they didn't check out if they have the rights to use the music. If they, sorry, my dog loves barking at any sort of sound that I can hear through. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say I have these headphones on. These are my son's headphones, and that's why I look so goofy.
We'll forgive you for it. Yeah. That's okay. We know you've got. Oh, I think we. Sorry, Ben. Just to interrupt you again. We just had a little glitch, so we'll catch you back in just a second. But we do have a couple more questions coming in, so maybe I can read off some questions here, and when we get you back in, we'll address them. So, Tim Trott had a couple questions about ASCAP licensed. If a venue is ASCAP licensed, are they limited to music from ASCAP, or are there other organizations that they would need to have licensing from? So okay, I think we have you back now. So
Okay.
let's jump on that question. ASCAP license. And apologies to the viewers, we've got a little connectivity issue, but we've got Ben back now. If a venue's ASCAP license, are they limited to music from ASCAP, or can they go beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a live venue, you are gonna probably want all three performance PRO licenses, because you could have a song that is written by three different people, same song, and all three of the writers could be with BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC. So then technically, you get in trouble if you get. I don't want to say if you get caught. It's definitely hard to police when you're not there at the venue and you're keeping track of songs being played. Most venues have licenses with all the PROs.
And just another question coming in. This is from Joseph Rendiki from Kenya, actually. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Joseph's wondering, he's had some problems where he's been doing live streams to Facebook and Facebook flags him. How, once he has his license, how do we ensure that the platform knows that he's covered? Is that something that you usually do? You mentioned, I think, the content keys. Like, how do we, once a license is acquired, how does a producer make sure that once they go to their platform that it doesn't get flagged incorrectly? Is there any steps you can take to kind of prepare for that or prevent that?
Yeah, and it could even be just like where he's based in Africa. If Facebook doesn't have the right deals in place for that territory, worldwide copyright is one of the most confusing things that you can look into. It could be as simple as that Facebook isn't covered in Kenya or in Africa to play music over the platform. I'm sure that they're definitely working on that if that's the case. And in terms of, I don't really deal with Facebook as much because it really hasn't come. It's mostly always been YouTube. And with that, like I said, the content key is something that you put in the back end of the video that alerts the company that you've properly licensed and we've had issues even with when that does happen, especially with and this is sort of interesting with public domain songs, like a Beethoven song. A lot of companies have for release in their catalog, so some companies will claim that's their version of the song when it's actually our version, and the person has the rights to play that song on their video. That was sort of an interesting thing that happened to me earlier this year, and we work with AdRev, who then reaches out to the people claiming that it's their song to prove that, yes, this is actually our song. It's a public domain song, so I can see why you would claim it, but here's the proper license for this user to play this music on their video. So please remove the claim.
So Ben, we went over a lot of stuff today, and I'm sure that some of our audience might actually, maybe clarify with you or reach out to you even for music licensing. So is there some way that they can get a hold of you or contact you?
Yeah, and I know that we didn't really get into it too much, and you guys showed some of the of our website, but we do have a new site that is about to go live that looks much different than the images you're showing right now. I can't show it to you all because it is not live. I was told by my bosses, don't do that. It's live streamed, so no, don't do that. But if you hit me up, I might be able to show it to you, and it's got some pretty incredible features to it. You can upload your video content to the site and start placing music on top of the video to test out to see if that music's even going to work for your content. We also have some sonic search features where you can upload or copy and paste a YouTube link, and the site will find the closest sounding song in our library. Obviously, it won't be exactly the same because we don't want to get in trouble with copyright, but it'll get you to where you want to be in this type of music that you're looking for. It's going to make finding music so much easier and more fun, because sometimes it can be kind of a pain to try and find that right track. So we're really excited about it. So you can hit me up at ben.short@warnerchapelpm.com, the longest email format possibly ever. Or you can just go to warnerchapelpm.com and look at the contact us page or the about us, and my email's on there as well.
And likewise, we'll put it in the description on YouTube so that, after the stream ends, and people will be able to get in touch with you that way. But man, what a wealth of knowledge that you have about this. You've been in the music licensing business for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, next year will be 8 years, and it'll be 10 years in the music industry, which is pretty crazy. Boy from Arkansas, who would have thought that I could be doing this? It's great. I'm very fortunate, very lucky.
What do you love most about what you do?
I love. I'm kind of a music snob. I think a lot of people in the music industry are. I really like whenever someone asks me to find a certain type of music, and then I nail it, and they're like, yeah, this is exactly what we need, and then it leads to it being licensed for whatever type of project it is. I like to be, with my friends watching TV and a commercial pop up and be like, I did that. That's the music. I did that music, or I licensed that music. That's always fun. I'm sure my friends get really annoyed with me
Yeah.
on that, but I always get really excited whenever that happens. It's always very exciting to get a song placed because there's so many different music companies out there, and a lot of clients are sending out BCC emails to tons of different people. And whenever they choose me, makes me feel special.
Awesome.
And it makes the content special too, because music just has such a powerful way of enhancing a production and enhancing the engagement and the quality of a production, and also the emotion of a production can be enhanced so much with music. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you can look up YouTube videos of a movie scene with the music in it and a movie scene without the music in it, and you just lose that emotion. It's such an important part of storytelling
and brand building
and
and
brand. Yeah, I mean, just think of NBC and think of the chimes, or think of McDonald's. These sonic brands are ubiquitous and well known throughout the world. And when you hear those chimes, you know you're watching NBC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a
well,
single sound can pretty much determine, a brand. It's amazing.
For sure.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really great to get a glimpse into your world. And if people want to get in touch, once again, it's ben.short@warnerchappellpm.com, I believe.
Yes, longest email ever. And Chappell has two P's and two L's. It's not like a church chapel.
There you go. I'm
Although
sure Google search will steer them in the right direction.
I think I've told you before, Dan. We're on my office in Nashville is on Music Row, and there is an actual wedding chapel about 4 buildings down. And I've had so many people come and knock on our door and be like, "We're here for the wedding. This just says chapel." And I'm like,
You should
"No,
get ordained.
I am ordained." I joke to my to the people I work with. I was like, "Just send them in. I'll get to them when I'm done with this call."
That's a shotgun wedding for sure. Well,
Yeah.
Well, Ben, thanks for joining us once again from Music City today and teaching us so much about music licensing. It's been great to have you, and look forward. We should do this again sometime. It'd be great to chat some more.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Ben.
Oh, well, thanks for being here. So to everyone here, thanks for joining us today. Next week, we're talking about Adobe Character Animator. So if that's an interesting topic to you, it's a hell of a lot of fun to put some animation into your production and combine that with some great music. You'll be off to the races. So once again, send us, you can contact us, info@epiphan.com. And until next week, we'll see you all later.